Hi guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel. Join me today while I get ready and tack up for a lesson on Mr. Fisher. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you may have seen Fisher before. He is a beautiful chestnut thoroughbred gelding with the most gentle soul, and someone had actually ever so kindly already brought in Fisher from the field to the barn for me. So I didn't have to go and get him, but unfortunately I was not paying attention to who was in the barn, and I went out to the field looking for him for about 10 minutes like an idiot, but that's my fault. Next time I'll pay better attention to who is in the barn. But I got to say hi to a lot of friendly faces while I was there, so I can't complain. And there is Mr. Fishy patiently waiting for me while I was scavenging the field for him. Just like any other ride, we're going to start off with a nice groom, starting off with the curry comb in circular motions to bring all the dirt to the surface. Here you can see Fishy is stomping his feet and swishing his tail, and I was not sure if he was swishing his tail at me or if he was just swishing his tail because there's lots of flies. It is that time of year, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. If he was, swishing his tail at me in agitation, I would be a little bit concerned because that's very uncharacteristic for Fisher. He loves getting groomed and he's not aggressive in any way, shape, or form, so I'm just making sure that I'm paying close attention to his body language, reading his ears, his tail, his feet, just to see if there's any discomfort or agitation with me grooming him. While I was over on his right side, I noticed that he has a lot of wounds and gashes. They are in the healing stage, so they have been scabbed over, but it definitely looks like the poor guy is getting bullied out there. I don't think he's very high up in the hierarchy. I feel so bad for him because he's such a calm, gentle soul, and he's got so many wounds over there, so he's definitely getting harassed. Now I'm moving on to the dandy brush or hard brush to brush away all the dirt that we brought to the surface with the curry comb. And you can see here he's getting a little swishy again, so I'm just being cautious as I groom him, just making sure that he's not in pain or discomfort or just trying to see if it's the flies, because I'm not quite sure, and it's very unlike Fishy to be acting like this, so if that were the case, something may be wrong. And over here on this side, you can see that he actually pins his ears at me and gives me a little bit of a warning. I'm not concerned with Fishy actually biting me. Like I said, he's such a calm, gentle soul, but he would definitely give me a bit of a warning. And here's where I noticed that he has a particular gash like right there on his shoulder, and I think I was just getting a little too close to it for his comfort. I think the poor guy is feeling very vulnerable. He has a little bit of an eyesore on his left eye, and he's got all these wounds on his right side, so I definitely think the poor guy is feeling a little defensive. He is quite sensitive of his girth area, so that right there, that's normal for Fishy. Not surprised by that. He does kind of pin his ears back as you touch his girth area, but a lot of horses are actually like that, and I'm not too concerned about that. Next step in the grooming process is to take the soft brush and brush down his legs. As you can see here, my friend is giving Fisher a nice little head stroke, and you can see how much more he relaxes. His lower lip becomes super droopy, his ears become relaxed, and that's just another sign that I don't think there's anything specifically wrong. I think I just was getting a little too close to his wounds, and he wasn't too happy about that. He continues to swish his tail, so I definitely think that's the flies. It's that time of year, and it's not unlikely for them to be constantly swishing. Now it's time to take our hoof pick and pick out his feet, and Fishy was very good for his feet. He usually always is. So I'm glad to see that there's not any discomfort or agitation there as well. Here you can see he kind of pulls his foot away from me. I just want to make sure that I hold on tight to it and I don't let go and reward that. I hold on to it for an extra second just till I feel him relax, and then I'll let it go and reward that. And there's Fishy being the cute little superstar that he is. Now that Fisher is all clean, it's time to get him dressed for our lesson, and I picked out this maroon saddle pad, and I actually love this color on him. I think it goes so great with his chestnut fur. It really stands out, and he just looks like a stylish little baby. And now it is saddle time. As you can see here, I kind of approached Fishy with my shoulders facing the same way as his and backing up. Something I've noticed with Fisher specifically is if I approach him with my shoulders facing him and in a forward way, he tends to back up quite a bit and kind of uses his head as a blocker. I think he feels very vulnerable in that position. It is kind of like an aggressive way to approach them, I think. So I notice if I kind of approach him backwards, let him sniff my hand, and then I go do whatever it is that I was going to do, he doesn't seem bothered by that at all. And now it is girth time, and you can see here Fishy giving me his little pinned back ears and his warning signs because he does not like me touching his girth area. But every time he does that, I just give him a little pat to let him know that he's okay. I'm not trying to hurt him. I also just want to make sure that I'm paying attention in case he does bite me, that I'm able to intervene. But again, I don't think that he ever actually would. He's a gentle soul. And now it's time to do our final step in tacking up and get the bridle on. Fisher is one of those horses that doesn't open his mouth too easily. Usually I find I basically have to put like my whole hand inside his mouth to get him to open up. But on this time he actually opened up on the first try of just kind of wiggling my thumb in there. So props to Fishy for being a good boy. And then I'm just doing up his chin strap, his throat latch, and just grabbing my reins as we're gonna get ready to head out down to the arena. And here we are now doing our prep steps. Before you get on, you always got to check your prep steps just to make sure that the tack is safe and everything is fitting properly. So of course I double check his chin strap again and his throat latch, just making sure they're not tight. And it's time to tighten his girth. And he was actually being super good. He was just kind of looking at me, not trying to nip or anything. So I'm really proud of him for that. I check my stirrup length and then adjust it so that it'll fit. I don't know about you guys, but I always check my stirrup length and adjust it before I get on. And 90% of the time I end up having to adjust it again once I'm on because they're either too short or too long. I don't know, I just can't get it right. Let me know if you guys have the same problem. After I was done tightening the girth, I gave him lots of snuggles because he was being such a good boy and he was so patient. And there is my noble steed looking so majestic and handsome. And now it's time for us to get on the mounting block and start our ride. Just like any other ride, we're gonna start with a warm-up, just a nice walk around the arena, get him moving his muscles and pumping some blood through his body. And as you can see here, Fisher is very intrigued with what's going on around him. He's got his ears pricked super forward and he's looking around everywhere. For as long as I know Fisher, I haven't known him to be super spooky at all, but I was wondering if he might be a little bit spooky today because of how distracted he was being. But once we started to pick up the trot, he seemed to relax a little bit more and was paying more attention to me and what I was asking him to do. At the beginning of our ride, he was kind of just shuffling his feet along and not trotting very fast. I definitely could have been putting more leg on him, but you know, just as he needs to warm up, I also need to warm up, and I find it's very hard to put a lot of leg on at the beginning of the ride when you're just getting warm. Usually after some no stirrup work, I find that my legs are super warmed up, and that's when my leg position is the best. So, you know, as a result of this, he was kind of tripping over his feet a little bit because he wasn't moving very fast.
Woo! Watch your feet, buddy.
It's like there's too many.
Okay, pick up your feet. Pick up your feet. Oh, okay. Oh. Did you see that? Oh, he's spooked at the dust. What a silly boy.
After Fishy had his silly, spooky moment, it was time for us to change direction across the diagonal. Once we switched direction, we did about a lap of sitting trot with no stirrups, and then a lap of posting trot with no stirrups also. I find after I do no stirrup work, my leg position is absolutely phenomenal and everything feels so good. So if you don't do no stirrup work, I highly recommend it. It is such a game changer. Then it was time for us to take a walk break, and Fishy took this as an opportunity to scratch an itchy spot. I let him have a little bit of grass because he was being a good boy, and while he munched on his juicy grass, I had a sip of water because today was quite hot. It was breezy, so it wasn't too bad, but being out in the sun still can make you pretty dehydrated. So after our water break, we went down the line of poles. We did 2 point over the first set of poles, and then we had to halt in the middle of the poles, wait for 3 seconds, ensure that he wasn't moving, and then ask for the trot again, pick up posting, and then 2 point over the poles again. I'd never done this exercise before. I actually found it quite challenging. It was hard to go from 2 point, post once, and then sit the trot in order to ask him to halt, but I found it a fun experience. Then it was time to take another walk break and get ready to canter.
That felt okay. Hey, baby. Oh, did you hear that? Oh. And that was the sweet little baby Taz giving me a little whinny, which I thought was just the most adorable thing ever. But in regards to the canter, I think that was honestly one of my best canter rounds ever. Fisher is actually really quite smooth, though it's such a big change for Rolo if you saw my last video. Now that we're all done with our lesson, it's time to give little Fishy a sponge down because he was also quite sweaty, and I have no idea how I ended up filming this in 2x speed, so I'm so sorry, but this is the most I can slow it down for you without it getting too choppy. But I just gave him a little sponge down in his sweaty areas while he just grazed on some grass. I had a friend hold him down so that he wouldn't walk away while I was sponging him down, and then I used the sweat
scraper just to get rid of some of that excess water so that he would dry faster. After I just let him graze for a little while he dried off, and I just watched him graze. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.